What's up, everybody? It's me, Eirik from Norway again. I'm going to read the Spake Zarathustra. Yet again here. Today is the 20th of February, and I just actually had a gaming stream. I just got to game a little bit on stream. It wasn't really that fun, to be honest. So I want to read here instead. I want to finish this. Well, I'm gonna try to finish this book, not tonight, but eventually. So of course you can find on Gutenberg.org. You can find this whole book. I've just copy pasted it into my Word document here to make it easier to read and sort of navigate. If you want to learn about me, you can go to myquestformeaning.com. It's a blog that I created some time ago. I also actually made a Reddit post to try to get some viewers, but I mean it has 700 total views. This post, it got 3 upvotes, and my channel. I mean the last video. The link is here. It basically clicked like 9 times together, so almost nobody was interested basically. But that's okay. You can't really force people to come and watch you. So yeah, got our definition, our dictionaries, everything is ready here. Gonna close this one. Gonna close this one. I am indeed live. So yeah, we'll get to the reading. So we just finished last time. We finished the tree on the hill. Our last quotes were, "Then lived they shamelessly in temporary pleasures, and beyond the day had hardly an aim." Which sort of speaks to me, I guess. It's kind of have been my life for some time, I guess. Anyway, the preachers of death. There are preachers of death, and the earth is full of those whom desistance from life must be preached. Full is the earth of the superfluous. Marred is life by the many too many. May they be decoyed out of this life by the life eternal. The yellow ones so are called the preachers of death, or the black ones, and I will show them unto you in other colors besides. There are the terrible ones who carry about in themselves the beast of prey, and have no choice except lusts of self-laceration. And even their lusts are self-laceration. They have not yet become men, those terrible ones. May they preach desistance from life and pass away themselves. I'm actually gonna look up desistance real quick. I'm not exactly sure what it means. Desistance from life. The act or process of ceasing, especially from a criminal or antisocial behavior. That was a bit difficult. Desistance. Abstaining from crime by those with a previous pattern of offending. So it means ceasing. Wow, it has many meanings. I mean, we'll just go by this definition. The act or process of ceasing, especially from a criminal antisocial behavior. Okay. There are the spiritually consumptive ones. Hardly are they born when they begin to die, and long for doctrines of lassitude and renunciation. Lassitude. Not sure about that one either. Lassitude. You actually get if you. Weariness of body or mind from strain I'm not clicking anything, let me just... A condition of lazy indifference. Weariness of body or mind from strain, oppressive climate, etc., lack of energy. So can you just say like laziness? Apathy, dullness, exhaustion, fatigue, idleness, laziness, listlessness, sleeplessness. Okay. Yeah. All of those were actually good synonyms, apparently. They would fain be dead, and we should approve of their wish. Let us beware of awakening those dead ones, and of damaging those living coffins. They meet an invalid, or an old man, or a corpse, and immediately they say, life is refuted. But they only are refuted, and their eye, which seeth only one aspect of existence. Shrouded in thick melancholy, and eager for the little causalities that bring death, thus do they wait, and clench their teeth. Or else they grasp at sweetmeats, and mock at their childishness thereby. They cling to their straw of life, and mock at their still clinging to it. Their wisdom speaketh thus, a fool, he who remaineth alive, but so far we are fools. And that is the foolish thing in life. Life is only suffering, so say others, and lie not. Then see to it that ye cease. See to it that the life ceaseth which is only suffering. And let this be the teaching of your virtue. Thou shalt slay thyself, thou shalt steal away from thyself. Lust is sin, so say some who preach death. Let us go apart and beget no children. Giving birth is troublesome, say others. Why still give birth? One beareth only the unfortunate, and they also are preachers of death. Pity is necessary, so saith a third party. Take what I have, take what I am, so much less does life bind me. Were they consistently pitiful, then would they make their neighbors sick of life. To be wicked, that would be their true goodness. They want to be rid of life. What care they if they bind others still faster with their chains and gifts? And ye also, to whom life is rough labor and disquiet, are ye not very tired of life? Are ye not very ripe for the sermon of death? All ye to whom rough labor is there, and the rapid, new, and strange, you put up with yourselves badly. Your diligence is flight, and the will to self-forgetfulness. If ye believed more in life, then would ye devote yourselves less to the momentary. But for waiting ye have not enough of capacity in you, nor even for idling. Everywhere resoundeth the voice of those who preach death, and the earth is full of those to whom death hath to be preached, or life eternal. It is all the same to me, if only they pass away quickly. Thus spake Zarathustra. So here is getting at the life and death, and it all sort of, I think, comes together with what we have been talking about before, that, you know, Nietzsche or Zarathustra believes in life and in the body and in the humans, and yeah, there are many people who in many different ways try to get away from that. They meet an invalid, or an old man, or a corpse, and immediately say life is refuted, but only they are refuted, and their eye, which seeth only one aspect of existence. yeah, so it is like they basically say that life is only suffering, so said Bruce, and I not, then see to it that yes, see to that the life ceases, which is only suffering. So it's basically saying that we need to get away, we need to get, well, we shouldn't like do anything, but ideally, the sufferers, the people who only suffer and who only say that life is suffering, they shouldn't even be living. It's like a waste of our attention to have to listen to them, such voices. And it's also because they preach death, you know. They are the preachers of death. There are preachers of death, and the earth is full of those to whom desistance from life must be preached. So doesn't that mean like he's saying that I think this is probably a controversial discourse, this whole chapter. We call it a discourse or a chapter. I think the book is 4 chapters in total, and there's many discourses, right? Yeah, I think that's how we say it. Full is the earth of the superfluous. Marred is life by the many too many. May they be decoyed out of this life by the life eternal. Yeah, I think I understand what he means. Basically, he don't like the people who are superfluous and only complain about their suffering and things like this. And they, say, desistance from life must be preached to these people. And desistance means actopus of ceasing. So he wishes them to stop existing, basically. There are the spiritually consumptive ones. Hardly are they born when they begin to die, and long for doctrines of lassitude and renunciation. They would fain be dead, and we should approve of their wish. Let us beware of awakening those dead ones, and of damaging those living coffins. So, he's saying, away with these people, away with the preachers of death. And they would say, oh, some people are suffering. Therefore, humanity is like, it's a bad thing that humans exist. I think there's like a philosophy that is antinatalism or something. Is the ethical view that negatively values procreation. Antinatalists argue that humans should abstain from procreation because it is morally wrong. In scholarly and literary writings, various ethical arguments have been presented for antinatalism. Someone early surviving hormones may not have been born from ancient Greece, and the term antinatalism is important to describe natalism. So I think it comes down to they see that there are more suffering than good in life. there are more people who are suffering. There's too much war, too much disease, too much natural disasters and everything. So it would actually be better if there were no humans than that there are humans, for example. But Nietzsche, he sees that this is like a real danger, I think. Because the whole object here is to get humanity one step further, not backwards, no, obviously. So I'm gonna take some quote from here too. Maybe these two. Maybe I'll use these two. Getting many quotes here. I've actually had 1200 words so far on quotes. It's gonna be a small book when I'm finished there. Life is only suffering, so yes, yes. Everywhere resounded the voices of those who preach death, and the earth is full of those to whom death hath to be preached. Yeah, it is a radical, you can definitely view it in a radical, from a radical perspective. But let's move on here. War and warriors. By our best enemies, we do not want to be spared. Actually, this chapter, and also the next one, The New Idol, I remember listening to an audiobook, which is called LibriVox or something. You can probably find it on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that right now. But I mean, there's like these, it's like a project that many people who read various books from from everywhere, and there are many readers who sort of recorded their reading of this book, and for most of these chapters or discourses, they were like very sort of what would you say? They weren't read with very much passion, you could say. But I remember very well when I came to these two, War and Warriors and The New Idol. There was like a woman or a girl, and she read these so well, I think. So it just really spoke to me when she read those. And it's almost like when I read them, it's almost like I can hear her voice in my head, you know. Okay. War and warriors. By our best enemies we do not want to be spared, nor by those either whom we love from the very heart. So let me tell you the truth. My brethren in war, I love you from the very heart. I am and was ever your counterpart, and I am also your best enemy. So let me tell you the truth. I know the hatred and envy of your hearts. Ye are not great enough not to know hatred and envy. Then be great enough not to be ashamed of them. And if you cannot be saints of knowledge, then, I pray you, be at least its warriors. They are the companions and forerunners of such saintship. I see many soldiers. Could I but see many warriors? Uniform. I don't know. Uniform, one call it what they wear. May it not be uniform, what they therewith hide. Ye shall be those whose eyes ever seek for an enemy, for your enemy, and with some of you there is hatred at first sight. Your enemy shall ye seek, your war shall ye wage, and for the sake of your thoughts. And if your thoughts succumb, your uprightness shall still shout triumph thereby. Ye shall love peace as a means in your wars, and the short peace more than the long. You I advise not to work, but to fight. You I advise not to peace, but to victory. Let your work be a fight, let your peace be a victory. One can only be silent and sit peacefully when one hath arrow and bow, otherwise one prateth and quarreleth. Let your peace be a victory. Ye say it is a good cause which halloweth even war. I say unto you, it is a good war which halloweth every cause. War and courage have done more great things than charity. Not your sympathy, but your bravery hath hitherto saved the victims. What is good, ye ask? To be brave is good. Let the little girl say, to be good is what is pretty, and at the same time touching. They call you heartless, but your heart is true, and I love the bashfulness of your good will. Ye are ashamed of your flow, and others are ashamed of their ebb. Ye are ugly? Well then, my brethren, take the sublime about you, the mantle of the ugly. And when your soul becometh great, then doth it become haughty. And in your sublimity there is wickedness. I know you. In wickedness the haughty man and the weakling meet, but they misunderstand one another. I know you. Ye shall only have enemies to be hated, but not enemies to be despised. Ye must be proud of your enemies. Then the successes of your enemies are also your successes. Resistance, that is the distinction of the slave. Let your distinction be obedience. Let your commanding itself be obeying. To the good warrior soundeth thou shalt, pleasanter than I will. And all that is there unto you, ye shall first have it commanded unto you. Let your love to life be love to your highest hope, and let your highest hope be the highest thought of life. Your highest thought, however, ye shall have it commanded unto you by me, and it is this: man is something that is to be surpassed. So live your life of obedience and of war. What matter about long life? What warrior wisheth to be spared? I spare you not. I love you from my very heart, my brethren in war. The Spake Zarathustra. So, yeah, this is a good discourse, I think. And I think there are many interesting things there, but one of the things you first can maybe notice is that Zarathustra have Nietzsche has this another sort of conception about enemies. Usually we just think of enemies as something we have to get rid of, but here he says, ye must be proud of your enemies, then the successes of your enemies are also your successes. Ye shall only have enemies to be hated, but not enemies to be despised. I think if you despise someone, then they are sort of not great enough or something. Because there's this thing when you can only really hate. I think Nietzsche has a quote, I think from Beyond Good and Evil maybe, where he says that you only hate those who are higher than you or something like that. I don't remember it. I'm so bad at explaining things here. Yeah, but he teaches war basically. War in our heart is important. I'm my brethren in war, I love you from the very heart. I was and I am and was ever your counterpart, and I am also your best enemy. So there's this thing which we have to like, if you're enemy, then you're like eliciting something good out of your opponent in a way. So it is important to be both an ally or an enemy in some sense. There says, I know the hatred and envy of your hearts. You're not great enough not to know hatred and envy. Then you're great enough not to be ashamed of them. And in current climate, there's very much talk about hate. It's a very bad thing. There's sort of there's almost like this default perspective that if you are on the right, for example, then that is like intrinsically you are coming from a hateful place within you. And many people on the right will then say, no, that is not true. I mean, I would say that myself, I think. But I mean, Nietzsche sort of, I feel like Nietzsche really gets to the depth of he goes into the deep of our personalities, and it's like, I know you hate hatred in your heart. You're not great enough not to know hatred and envy. Then be great enough not to be ashamed of them. So it's almost like that we are trying to create this sort of hate-free world, and there's something like very unnatural about it, because humanity haven't really changed. Humanity in 2022 is basically the same as in 1945 or in 1850 or in 500 BC, and you just think of all the wars and everything, and you just think of so much hate and that must have been. And now we are like gonna try to create a world where there is no hatred. That is like, it's not real, it's superficial, it won't work. And I think like most people who have like a sort of dissenting worldview in politics, maybe they would maybe too frequently they would just say, no, we are not hateful. But if they admit they're hateful, they would just be put in prison, I guess. I don't know. Well, maybe not if they admit they're hateful, but if they say it. And I don't feel that I'm like a hateful person, but there are obviously those who would say that. If you can't be saints of knowledge, then I pray you be at least its warriors. They are the companions and forerunners of such saintship. Yeah, if you can't that makes sense. If you can't bring the truth ahead yourself, at least you can fight for the truth. It's very important. And there is no such saintship without those warriors. So war and warriors, I mean, it's very important. And it's like a completely shift in the perspective from the world we are creating right now, obviously. I know that Nietzsche, he really liked Napoleon, and Napoleon obviously was a man of war. And I think Nietzsche said that Napoleon was like the best figure. He didn't say that in that way, but he sort of hinted that Napoleon was the best a very idealistic type of person which we can look up to. So I mean, how many quotes should we take from this chapter or this discourse? I'm gonna take this one. I see many soldiers. Could I but see many warriors? Uniform on call it what I wear may it not be uniform what I wear with hide. That's also a good quote. Almost all quotes in this section is good. So basically, soldiers are just obedient people, but they aren't living their true self in a way. If they're just following orders. Your enemies shall you seek, your war shall you wage, and for the sake of your thoughts. And if your thoughts succumb, your uprightness shall still shout triumph thereby. I shall love peace as a means to new wars, and a short peace more than the long. All of this is really radical if you sort of take it seriously with today's perspectives. You advise not to work but to fight. You advise not to peace but to victory. Not to work, fight, not to peace but victory. And sort of many people will say that this is more sort of metaphorically, supposed to be more metaphorically meant, and it is also metaphorical, but I don't think that Nietzsche is actually against war anyway. So you sort of have to own that Nietzsche is a radical thinker. He said it is a good cause which halloweth even war. I say unto you, it is a good war which halloweth every cause. That is an interesting twist on it. The war is good in itself, and if you fight well, then that in itself makes your cause, it hallows your cause, meaning making it noble or holy. What is good is asked. To be brave is good. The little say to be good are pretty and send touching. And when your soul becometh great, then doth it become haughty, and in your sublimity there is wickedness, I know you. This is interesting. In wickedness the haughty man and weakling meet, but they misunderstand one another. Yeah, I can sort of understand that. You shall all have enemies of hatred, not enemies to be despised. You must be proud of your enemies, and the successes of your enemies are also your successes. Let your love to life be love to your highest hope, and let your highest hope be the highest thought of life. It is difficult to sort of imagine exactly what the highest thought of life is. Yeah. He says, Your highest thought, however, you shall have it commanded unto you by me. And it is this man is something that is to be surpassed. Yeah, I mean, that is what Nietzsche wants, of course. You want to build a bridge to the Superman. Man is to be surpassed. And here he says, so live your life of obedience and war. I mean, obedience to Nietzsche then. Highest hope, and the highest hope is surpassing of man. And obedience of war, obedience according to this doctrine. What matter about long life, what war wish it to be spared? Nietzsche is also so, like, there are other discourses later which really talks about that living a long time isn't ideal. You should much rather live like dangerously and in war. And it's if you are spared, then that sort of signifies that you haven't done your part. You haven't been living in war. You haven't done it right. I spare you not. I live from the very heart, my brethren in war. Yeah. Okay, so I have the new idol here. This is a great one, I think. And also I had this one here first read to me by this woman in this LibriVox recording. She read it with so much passion. I'm almost crying here. I'm just like Jordan Peterson. Okay, let's get to it here. The new idol. Somewhere there are still peoples and herds, but not with us, my brethren. Here there are states. A state, what is that? Well, open all your ears unto me. For now will I say unto you my word concerning the deaf peoples. A state is called the coldest of all cold monsters. Coldly lieth it also, and it like creepeth from its mouth. I, the state, am the people. It is a lie. Creators were they who created peoples and hang a fate and a love over them. Thus they served life. Destroyers are they who lay snares for many and call it the state. They hang a sword and 100 cravings over them. Oh, I just can't. God damn it. Where there is still a people, there the state is not understood, but hated as the evil eye and as a sin against laws and customs. This sign I give unto you, every people speaketh its language of good and evil. This its neighbour understandeth not. Its language hath it devised for itself in laws and customs. But the state lieth in all language of good and evil, and whatever it hath said it lieth, and whatever it hath stolen. Fault is everything in it. With stolen teeth it biteth the biting one. Faults are even its bowels. Confusion of language, good and evil. This sign I give unto you as a sign of the state. Verily, the will to death indicated this sign. Verily, it beckoneth unto the preachers of death. Many too many are born, for the superfluous ones was the state devised. See just how it enticeth them to it, the many too many, how it swalloweth and cheweth and recheweth them. On earth there is nothing greater than I. It is I who am the regulating finger of God. Thus roared the monster, and not only the long-eared and short-sighted fall upon their knees. Ah, even in your ears, ye great souls, it whispereth its gloomy lies. Ah, it findeth out the rich hearts which willingly lavish themselves. Yeah, it findeth out you. Okay. Yeah, it findeth you out too, ye conqueror of the old God. Weary ye become the conflict, and now your weariness serveth the new idol. Heroes and honorable ones it would fain set up around it, the new idol. Gladly it basketh in the sunshine of good consciences, to call the monster. Everything will it give you, if ye worship it, the new idol. Thus it purchaseth the lustre of your virtue, and the glance of your proud eyes. It seeketh to allure, by means of you, the many too many. Yea, a hellish artifice hath there been devised, a death force jingling with the trappings of divine honours. Yea, a dying for many hath there been devised, which glorifieth itself as life, verily a hearty service unto all preachers of death. The state I call it, where all are poison drinkers, the good and the bad. The state where all lose themselves, the good and the bad. The state where the slow suicide of all is called life. Just see these superfluous ones, they steal the works of the inventors and treasures of the wise. Culture they call their theft, and everything becometh sickness and trouble unto them. Just see these superfluous ones, sick are they always, they vomit their bile and call it a newspaper. They devour one another and cannot even digest themselves. Just see these superfluous ones, wealth they acquire and become poorer thereby. Power they seek for, and above all, the lever of power. Much money, these impotent ones. See them clamber, these nimble apes, they clamber over one another, and thus scuffle into the mud and the abyss. Towards the throne they all strive. It is their madness, as if happiness sat on the throne. Oft times sitteth filth on the throne, and oft times also the throne on filth. Madmen they all seem to me, and clambering apes, and too eager. Badly smelleth their idol to me, the cold monster. Badly they all smell to me, these idolaters. My brethren, will ye suffocate in the fumes of their maws and appetites? Better break the windows and jump into the open air. Do go out of the way of the bad odor. Withdraw from the idolatry of the superfluous. Do go out of the way of the bad odor. And how is that actually? Odor? Isn't that how you say it? Odor. Odor. It's like a smell, right? Yes. Do go out of the way of the bad odor. Withdraw from the steam of these human sacrifices. Open still remaineth the earth for great souls. Empty are still many sites for lone and ones and twain ones, around which floated the odour of tranquil seas. Open still remaineth a free life for great souls. Verily, he who possesseth little is so much the less possessed. Blessed be moderate poverty. There, where the state ceaseth, there only commenceth the man who is not superfluous. There commenceth the song of the necessary ones, the single and irreplaceable melody. There, where the state ceaseth, pray look hither, my brethren, do ye not see it? The rainbow and the riches of the Superman, the Spake Zarathustra. I really like this one. This might be the best of all. And it, in some sense, it's probably a mistake for me to try to talk about it, because, I mean, I talk badly about it. And it's like, isn't it that saying that goes, if you talk badly, it's better to just shut up about it? I mean, I want to understand it in some sense. So it's fine to talk about it, I think. Okay, so we'll quote these two, definitely. Nietzsche don't believe in states. Clearly, he says states is the death of peoples. I don't know, the world is obviously divided into states. I'm from Norway. You who watch this might be from USA, or from Germany, or from Russia, or whatever. And but the problem with the state, well, there are so many problems with the state. But what he's getting at here is that there is basically not room for the great ones in the state, because many too many are born, for the superfluous ones was the state devised exactly. As soon as you sort of make this broad, as soon as you make rules in some sense, just the most basic rules, you take away individuality, and individuality is very important. Where there is still a people, the state is not understood, but hated as the evil eye and as a sin against laws and customs. But that's the thing. Everywhere now the state is understood. So like this sort, there are no like ideal sort of groups of people anymore. There are no tribes. There are just citizens of a state, of a given state, and everyone are equal, and everything's the same, and there are no great individuals, and there will hardly be a great individual in these circumstances. But the state lieth in all language of good and evil, and whatever it is said, it lieth, and whatever it hath said, it hath stolen. Yeah, it's true. Confusion of language of good and evil. This sign I give unto you as a sign of the state. Verily the will to death indicateth this sign. Verily it beckoneth. I think beckon, it means to go down or something. I should know this word. Signal summon or direct by gesture of the head or hand. A nod gesture, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. quote this one. Yeah. I mean, there's so much good stuff in here. Do go out of the way of the bad odor, withdraw from the idolatry of the superfluous. Idolatry, that means to like worship. Idolatry. Idolatry. The worship of idols. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Worship of idols. It has to be idols. So the worship of the superfluous. And this also, I think, is a good quote. Open still remaineth a free life for great souls. Verily, he who possessed little is so much less possessed. Blessed be moderate poverty. Yeah, I can take that one too. I would definitely have to take these two. There where the state ceaseth, there only commenceth the man who is not superfluous, there commenceth the song of the necessary ones. The single and irreplaceable melody. There where the state ceaseth, pray look thither, my brethren, do ye not see it, the rainbow and the bridges of the Superman? Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. I won't say any more about that one actually. But I get it, mostly, I think. The flies in the marketplace. Flee, my friend, into thy solitude. I see thee deafened with the noise of the great men, and stung all over with the stings of the little ones. Admirably the forest and rock know how to be silent with thee. Resemble again the tree which thou lovest, the broad-branched one, silently and attentively it overchangeth the sea. Where solitude endeth, there beginneth the marketplace, and where the marketplace beginneth, there beginneth also the noise of the great actors, and the buzzing of the poison flies. In the world, even the best things are worthless without those who represent them. Those representatives the people call great men. Little do the people understand what is great, that is to say, the creating agency, but they have a taste for all the representatives and actors of great things. Around the devices of new values revolveth the world. Invisibly it revolveth, but around the actors revolve the people and the glory. Such is the course of things. Spirit hath the actor, but little conscience of the spirit. He believeth always in that wherewith he maketh believe most strongly in himself. Tomorrow he hath a new belief, and the day after one still newer. Sharp perception hath he, like the people, and changeable humours. To upset, that meaneth with him to prove. To drive mad, that meaneth with him to convince. And blood is counted by him as the best of all arguments. A truth which only glideth into fine ears, he calleth falsehood and trumpery. Verily, he believeth only in gods that make a great noise in the world. Full of clattering buffoons in the marketplace, and the people glory in a great man. These are for them the masters of the hour. But the hour presseth them, so they press thee. And also from thee they want yea or nay. Alas, thou wouldst set thy chair betwixt for and against. On account of those absolute and impatient ones, be not jealous, thou lover of truth. Never yet did truth cling to the arm of an absolute one. On account of those abrupt ones, return into thy security. Only in the marketplace is one assailed by yea or nay. Slow is the experience of all deep fountains. Long have they to wait until they know what hath fallen into their depths. Away from the marketplace and from fame taketh place all that is great. Away from the marketplace and from fame have ever dwelt the devisers of new values. Flee, my friend, into thy solitude. I see thee stung all over by the poisonous flies. Flee thither, where a rough, strong breeze bloweth. Flee into thy solitude. Thou hast lived too closely to the small and pitiable. Flee from their invisible vengeance. Towards thee they have nothing but vengeance. Raise no longer an arm against them. Innumerable are they, and it is not thy lot to be a fly-flap. Innumerable are the small and pitiable ones, and of many proud structure, raindrops and weeds have been the ruin. Thou art not stone, but already hast thou become hollow by the numerous drops. Thou wilt yet break and burst by the numerous drops. Exhausted I see thee by poisonous flies, bleeding I see thee, and torn at 100 spots, and thy pride will not even upbraid. Blood they would have from thee in all innocence. Blood their bloodless souls crave for, and they sting therefore in all innocence. But thou, profound one, thou sufferest too profoundly even from small wounds, and ere thou hadst recovered, the same poison worm crawled over thy hand. Too proud art thou to kill these sweet tooths, but take care lest it be thy fate to suffer all their poisonous injustice. They buzz around thee also with their praise. Obtrusiveness is their praise. They want to be close to thy skin and thy blood. They flatter thee as one flattereth a god or devil. They whimper before thee as before a god or devil. What doth it come to? Flatterers are they, and whimperers, and nothing more. Often also do they themselves to thee as amiable ones. But that hath even ever been the prudence of the cowardly. Yea, the cowardly are wise. They think much about thee with their circumscribed souls. Thou art always suspect by them. Whatever is much thought about is at last thought suspicious. They punish for thee for all thy virtues. They pardon thee in their inmost hearts only for thine errors. Because thou art gentle and of upright character, thou sayest, blameless are they for their small existence. But their circumscribed souls think, blamable is all great existence. Even when thou art gentle towards them, they still feel themselves despised by thee, and they repay thy beneficence with secret maleficence. Thy silent pride is always counter to their tastes. They rejoice if once thou be humble enough to be frivolous. What we recognize in a man, we also irritate in him. Therefore, be on your guard against the small ones. In thy presence they feel themselves small, and their baseness gleameth and gloweth against thee in invisible vengeance. Sawest thou not often they become dumb when thou approachest them, and how their energy left them like smoke of an extinguishing fire? Yea, my friend, the bad conscience art thou of thy neighbours, for they are unworthy of thee. Therefore they hate thee, and would fain suck my blood, thy blood. Thy neighbors will always be poisonous flies. What is great in thee, that itself must make them more poisonous, and always more fly-like. Flee, my friend, into thy solitude, and titter where a rough, strong breeze bloweth. It is not thy lot to be a fly-flap. The Spake Zarathustra. Just gonna look up titter, actually. Don't remember what that means. Titter. What? A person who gives or pays tits as to a church. What? I still don't understand what that word means. A person who advocates payment of tits. A person who collects. Oh, so it's like a tax. Collecting taxes, is that what it means, in a way? Titter? No, wait a minute. Did I? Oh my god. I misspelled it. Titter with an H-I. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. So, the flies in the marketplace. And again, I sort of think of the left and right economy, and obviously I think there are many similarities with some people here. So we have this where the solitude ended, they are beginning to marketplace, and the marketplace beginneth, there beginneth also the noise of the great actors, and the buzzing of the poison flies. By the way, if anyone is watching, you can chat. I won't probably notice you right away, but please chat. Huh, yeah. Slow is the experience of all deep fountains. Long have they to wait until they know exactly what had fallen into their depths. So I think like a metaphor here is that you can think of like all deep or great people. And then you have these sort of poison flies. These are sort of people who sort of they annoy you. They annoy the great people, you can say, but it's not like directly. It's on. How can I explain it? It's like there are a few great people, okay, and there are many people who are like bzz, who want to sting the great ones. But it's not like they always directly sting them. It's like they come up with their creations. They make like, yeah, they come up with their creations and their stuff, and it's like, and you have these deep people. They may have to think a long time about exactly what this person who is in their life, what they are about, you know. And it's like it is unfortunate for them to have to give so much attention and to people who are basically superfluous. So I'll quote this one. It says, away from the marketplace and from fame taketh place all that is great. Away from the marketplace and from fame have ever dwelt the devisers of new values. Yeah, this is interesting though. So it's basically in solitude that the great people have to mostly, you know, in the start of the book, you know, Nietzsche, he was in, well, Zarathustra was in solitude for 10 years, then he came back to the town. So there either have to be like a back and forth, but the marketplace is full of just buzzing and noise. Flee, my friend, into thy solitude. I see thee stung all over by the poisonous flies. Flee thither, meaning towards, okay. Flee towards where a rough, strong breeze bloweth. Flee into thy solitude. Thou hast lived too closely to the small and the pitiable. Flee from their invisible vengeance. Towards thee they have nothing but vengeance. You can almost see it in this, in some people that they might try to pretend they are about something, but what they really want is to take down some people. And he says, raise no longer an arm against them. Innumerable are they, and it's not thy lot to be a fly flap. Meaning that it is not the purpose for a great one, for a Superman, to sort of having to smack all these people on their hands. So he shouldn't really argue with all these people who make arguments against him, maybe. Innumerable are small and pitiable ones, and of many a proud structures, raindrops and weeds have been the ruin. Yeah. I've seen some of these documentaries, and you see these old places, and they're just old great buildings, for example, or old great statues. There's all just weed and stuff growing on them. It's a good image. And it's like, exhausted I see thee by poisonous flies, bleeding I see thee, and torn at 100 spots, and thy pride will not even upbraid. Braid. That means to chastise, I believe. Chastise. admonish, berate, yeah. Chastise. So, great people are definitely hurt by small people. I mean, as I've always said that I'm not going to mention any names in my reading here because that makes it sort of too local or too much about these names, but I'm always thinking of some people and I can definitely see that it is true. But thou, profound one, thou sufferest too profoundly even from small wounds, and ere thou hadst recovered, the same poison worm crawled over thy hand. It is a shame, indeed. They want to be close to thy skin and thy blood. De flätter ingen som flätter igång den blev mikrofonen. With their circumscribed soul, they think about thee. Not exactly what that means. Circumscribed. Is that like circumcised almost? Circumscribed. Bounded, as in close and is confined, cramped, definite, exclusive. Oh, it has like 40 definitions. What is the first one you get on? Restrict something within limits. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah, they are fake. They show themselves as the real ones. And they are cowardly. Yeah, and they are even wise, you know. Many smart people are small people. Many smart people, I think, on the left are basically small people in the context of Nietzsche and philosophy. And you have to recognize this, I think. Yeah. They think much about thee with their circumscribed souls, restricted souls. Thou art always suspect by them. Whatever is much thought about is at last thought suspicious. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I should take some more quotes here. I'll take these two. Yes, I mean, it is hard because almost all quotes are good in some sense. Yeah, and you also see a lot of this, you know, upright people, sort of forthright people. They don't really want to argue against all these people who can say, I think leftist. So they just take the hits again and again. Even when thou art gentle towards them, they still feel themselves despised by thee. I think they feel themselves like intrinsically despised, because they know, well, in their heart they are like despicable almost, and they repay thy beneficence with secret maleficence. Yep. Their silent pride is always counter to their taste. They rejoice if once thou be humble enough to be frivolous. Yeah. What rings it? What's right at them? So I think we should take I mean, there are so many great, or just like great quotes, just well said, you know. So just take this one maybe to sum it up. It is not thy lot to be a fly flap. It is not thy lot to be a fly flap. Chastity. I am myself. I like to be a fly flap. Actually, I like to in comments on Facebook. I like to just, well, I'm not a great one, obviously, but so that's why I can be a fly flap. I can smack them on their heads with their stupid false notions. Number 13. Chastity. I love the forest. It is bad to live in cities. There are too many of the lustful. Is it not better to fall into the hands of a murderer than into the dreams of a lustful woman? And just look at these men. Their eyes said it. They know nothing better on earth than to lie with a woman. Filth is at the bottom of their souls, and alas, if their filth hath still spirit in it. Would that ye were perfect, at least as animals, but to animals belongeth innocence. Do I counsel you to slay your instincts? I counsel you to innocence in your instincts. Do I counsel you to chastity? Chastity is a virtue with some, but with many almost a vice. These are continent, to be sure, but doggish lust looketh enviously out of all that they do, even into the heights of their virtue, and into their cold spirit doth this creature follow them with its discord. And how nicely can doggish lust beg for a piece of spirit when a piece of flesh is denied it? Ye love tragedies and all that breaketh the heart, but I am distrustful of your doggish lust. Ye have two cruel eyes, and ye look wantonly towards the sufferers. Hath not your lust just disguised itself and taken the name of fellow suffering? And also this parable give I unto you, not a few who meant to cast out their devil went thereby into the swine themselves. To whom chastity is difficult, it is to be dissuaded, lest it become the road to hell, to filth and lust of soul. Do I speak of filthy things? That is not the worst thing for me to do. Not when the truth is filthy, but when it is shallow, doth the discerning one go unwillingly into its waters. Verily, there are chaste ones from their very nature. They are gentler of heart and laugh better and oftener than you. They laugh also at chastity and ask, what is chastity? Is chastity not folly? But the folly came unto us, and we not unto it. We offered that guest harbour and heart. Now it dwelleth with us. Let it stay as long as it will. Thus spake Zarathustra. This was a really short one. And here, I don't have a strong feeling what what this means. I love the forest. It is bad to live in the cities. There are too many of the lustful. Yeah. Is it not better to fall into the hands of a murderer than into the dreams of a lustful woman? Why? I don't... What is that supposed to mean? If you know what it means, let me know in the comments. Okay, why on earth? Okay, let's see. Lustful woman. Why is it bad for dreams of lustful woman? Well, I mean, then we're onto this sort of woman issue with Nietzsche here. Okay, but you know, this whole section is meant to convey something. And just look at these men, their eye set it. They know nothing better on earth than to lie with a woman. I mean, that is true. You know, there are many people like this, you know. And it's, you know, sex is a very powerful thing. Our strongest instinct might be our sexual instinct, you could say. It's a funny quote. I will definitely quote it. Filth, it has the bottom of their souls, and alas, if their filth has still spirit in it. So I don't know what this means either. Would that you were perfect, at least as animals, but to animals belong it innocence. To share instinct, innocence in your instincts. Okay, so it's not saying that we should not be sexual. But it's saying we should be innocent in our sexuality. What does that mean? Considered the chastity. I mean, chastity, that means to abstain, doesn't it, from sexuality? Just refraining from sexual intercourse. That is wrong. I know what it means. According to chastity, chastity is a virtue with some. Okay, so with some people, it is a good thing to stay away from a woman. But with many, almost a vice. That is interesting. I don't really have any. I don't really have anything to sort of think about in order to try to understand this. I mean, there are. You know, the way you sort of try to understand things in any way is that you must use the things you already know. So if you think about something that relates to people, then you might think about a typical person that you know about, maybe a famous person, or just someone maybe you idolize in some way. And by thinking about that person, then you sort of understand the concept that is being conveyed in a text, maybe. But I don't really have any examples to understand this. These are continent to be sure, but doggish lust looketh enviously at all that I do. So it says, even into the heights of their virtue and into their cold spirit. So this is like positive things, like, right? Doth this creature follow them with its discord? So I think I sort of get it means that it's this sort of idea that a man that is on a mission gets like what would you say? A woman will sort of will stop his mission, will sort of halt his mission, so that he can't, so that, and so his attention sort of switches from what he's supposed to do, which is maybe a very good thing, just to that woman, you know. And that is an idea. It is not exactly what is being coined here, though. And how nicely can doggish lust beg for a piece of spirit when a piece of flesh is denied it. Okay, to whom chastity is difficult, it is to be dissuaded, lest it become the road to hell, the filth and lust of soul. Okay. So if you are a sort of person who has very trouble with chastity, then it is not for you. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't speak of filthy things. That is not the worst thing for me to do. Not when the truth is filthy, but when it is shallow, doth the discerning one go unwillingly into its waters. Yeah, okay. That's an interesting quote. Discerning ones will readily go into filthy truths. I know that because, well, I mean, I have that aspect of myself. But shallow truths, that is not appealing. Verily, there are chaste ones from their very nature. They are gentler of heart and laugh better and oftener than you. Yeah, I have a person I think very much when I read this, and it fits so well, basically. In some sense, I think it fits to me a little bit too. I think I am gentle of heart and laugh. I laugh good sometimes. I think I do. Yeah, that's a good quote actually. I'm not very sexually driven actually. They laugh also at chastity and ask, what is chastity? Chastity is not folly, but the folly came unto us and we not unto it. We offer that guest harbor and heart, know it dwelleth with us, and let it stay as long as it will. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand this whole, I don't get it, this whole discourse. I will move on now. Number 14, the friend. One is always too many about me, thinketh the anchorite. Always once one, that maketh two in the long run. I and me are always too earnestly in conversation. How could it be endured, if there were not a friend? The friend of the anchorite is always the third one. The third one is the cork which prevented the conversion of these two sinking into the depth. Ah, there are too many depths. I know I am really bad at pronouncing that word, but I just can't pronounce it properly. Depth, because I say like another word which is not the one, so I'm just gonna say depth, really sort of awkwardly. Oh, there are too many depths for all anchorites. Therefore do I long as much for a friend and for his elevation. Our faith in others betray it, wherein we would fain have faith in ourselves. Our longing for a friend is our betrayer. And often with our love we want merely to overleap envy, and often we attack and make ourselves enemies to conceal that we are vulnerable. Be at least mine enemy. Thus speaketh the true reverence, which doth not venture to solicit friendship. If one would have a friend, then must one also be willing to wage war for him, and in order to wage war, one must be capable of being an enemy. One ought still to honor the enemy in one's friend. Canst thou go nigh into thy friend and not over to him, and not go over to him? In one's friend one shall have one's best enemy. Thou shalt be closest unto him with thy heart when thou withstandest him. If thou wouldst wear no raiment before thy friend, it is in honor of thy friend that thou showest thyself to him as thou art, but he wisheth thee to the devil on that account. He who maketh no secret of himself shocketh. So much reason have ye to fear nakedness. Aye, if ye were gods, ye could then be ashamed of clothing. Thou canst not adorn thyself fine enough for thy friend, for thou shalt be unto him an arrow and a longing for the Superman. Sawest thou ever thy friend asleep, to know how he looketh? What is usually the countenance of thy friend? It is thine own countenance in a coarse and imperfect mirror. Sawest thou ever thy friend asleep? Wert thou not dismayed at thy friend looking so? O my friend, man is something that hath to be surpassed. In divining and keeping silence shall the friend be a master. Not everything must thou wish to see. Thy dream shall disclose unto thee what thy friend doeth when awake. Let thy pity be a divining, to know first if thy friend wanted pity. Perhaps he loveth in thee the unmoved eye, and the look of eternity. Let thy pity for thy friend be hid under a hard shell. Thou shalt bite out a tooth upon it. Thus will it have delicacy and sweetness. Art thou pure air and solitude and bread and medicine to thy friend? Many a one cannot loosen his own fetters, but is nevertheless his friend's emancipator. Art thou a slave? Then thou canst not be a friend. Art thou a tyrant? Then thou canst not have friends. Far too long hath there been a slave and a tyrant concealed in woman. On that account, woman is not yet capable of friendship. She knoweth only love. In woman's love there is injustice and blindness to all she doth not love. And even in woman's conscious love there is still always surprise and lightning and night, along with the light. As yet woman is not capable of friendship, women are still cats and birds, or at best, cows. As yet woman is not capable of friendship, but tell me, ye men, who of you are capable of friendship? Oh, your poverty, ye men, and your sordidness of soul. As much as I give to your friend will I give even to my foe, and will not have become poorer thereby. There is comradeship, may there be friendship. Thus spake Zarathustra. The friend. I do like this quote though. The friend of the anchorite is always at the third one. The third one is the cork which prevented the conversation of the two sinking into the depth. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really had too many meaningful conversations in my life, but I do recognize that it is always more difficult to have a meaningful conversation. Well, I guess it's impossible almost to have a meaningful conversation with 3 people. Does that ever happen even? I mean, I don't think that happens very often at all. There are too many depths for all anchorites. Anchorite means a sort of person who lives alone and sort of in solitude mostly, I suppose. Has to retire to a solitary place for a life of religious seclusion. Okay, hermit. So therefore they long so much for a friend and for his elevation. It makes sense, to be your own company. Sometimes you want friends to talk to. I would like a friend right now who I could talk to probably, but I don't have one, so I'm streaming instead. And nobody are fucking watching me probably. Our faith in others betray it, wherein we would fain have faith in ourselves. Yeah, and often with our love we want merely to overleap and sort of feel I can understand this. Yeah. At least one enemy that speaketh the true reverence. Yeah, I sort of knew what it meant, but I'm gonna paste it anyway. I seriously wonder if I ever will finish this book. I am at 65 out of 365. But I think in the beginning there were some, yeah, the 10 first were not, I have not read, so I'm basically at 1/6 of completing this book. And it gets, I read about 25% of this book before, and it gets much tougher to understand what he's talking about further in there. So, I mean, just a friend, I don't really understand this. But I should take some quotes at least. True reverence does not venture to solicit friendship, wants to be enemy. Okay, so in order to wage war, you have to be capable of being an enemy. And if you want a friend, you have to be willing to wage war for him. It's interesting that I never really felt this kind of enemy in the friend kind of thing. I mean, right now I don't really have friends in a way. And I sort of have these older friends who basically want to be with me, and I kind of don't want to be with them almost, because it is so like shallow in a way. And there's been a long time of just like, and I don't really feel like there's anything real there in a way. In one's friends one shall have one's best enemy. Thou shalt be closest unto him with thy heart when thou withstandest him. Yeah, I don't really feel this one. I don't really understand what is... Why wouldst thou wear no raiment before thy friends? What does raiment mean? Oh, okay. I'm not clicking. Clothing. His other friend, thou showest thyself to him as thou art, but he wisheth thee to the devil on that account. Yeah, your friend doesn't want to see how you are. Yeah. I mean, this is basically what I'm talking about. My sort of older friends, they're not really interested in me. They want to see me in the way that they like. And that basically means someone who has like a great attention to them, or who laughs at their jokes or something like that. So I see what he means here. He make it no secret himself, shock it. So much reason have ye to wear fake naked, to wear... yeah, have ye to wear... to fear nakedness. Yeah. People fear the real truth about each other. Aye, if ye were gods, ye could then be ashamed of clothing. There's again with the Superman. Thou canst not adore thyself fine enough for thy friend, for thou shalt be unto him an arrow and a longing for the Superman. I wonder how many times he says arrow and a longing for the Superman in this book. It's probably a few. And this is also what is the purpose of friendship in Nietzschean ethics. It is to inspire in each other the will to the Superman to become great. In dividing and keeping silence shall the friend be a master. Not everything must thou wish to see. Thy dream shall disclose unto thee what thy friend doeth when awake. Let thy pity be a divining, to know first if thy friend wanted pity. Perhaps he loveth indeed the unmoved eye, and the look of eternity. Let thy pity for thy friend be hid under a hard shell. Thou shalt bite out of a tooth upon it. Thus will it have delicacy, sweetness. Yeah, don't show pity towards your friend. Out of pure air and solitude and bread and medicine to thy friend, many a one cannot loosen his own feathers, but is nevertheless his friend's emancipator. Yeah, yeah, that is interesting. And I also remember in the Wilderant summary of Nietzsche, he has this quote where he says that, oh, I forgot it. Yeah, he says that be great or be an instrument to the great, basically. Most people can't be great, but they can be instruments to the great. And it's the same thing in some sense here. Art of pure air and solitude and bread and medicine to thy friend. So there are many people who like can't find the way, sort in a way, in themselves, but they can be very much help for another person nevertheless. Art thou a slave, then thou canst not be a friend. Art thou a tyrant, then thou canst not have friends. Yeah. So if you're a slave, then that is not friendship, obviously. For too long hath there been a slave and tyrant concealed in one woman. Yeah. On that account, woman is not yet capable of friendship, she knoweth only love. Yeah. So Nietzsche is also, as if you probably know this, if you're here already, that Nietzsche is very hard on women, and but he I think he sees it. It is true, I believe. Women like to be beneath the man. That is their sort of. And when you say that, it sounds like, okay, I'm just gonna take that out of context and say, okay, you're a misogynist now. But just like, it is true though that, well, it is one of the things women do have sort of a faculty for, or sort of an instinct for. And he says, for far too long have they been a slave and a tyrant. They are tyrants also, you can say. On that account, woman is not yet capable of friendship, she knoweth only love. So Nietzsche says that, you can't be friends with a woman. And this is sort of a popular meme nowadays, I think, that someone will say that, well, someone would ask, can men and women be friends? And some says, yeah, they can, and some says, others says, no, they cannot. Nietzsche is not necessarily saying they can't for the same reasons, though. He says they know only love. Yeah, it's interesting. In woman's love there is injustice and blindness to all that she doth not love. And even in woman's conscious love there is always surprise and lightning and night along with the lights. Yeah, I think you just say that women are, in some sense, they are in their sort of mood. They're kind of volatile. At one time, they will be super friendly towards you and like sort of cozy up to you as much as possible, while in the next moment they will try to find reasons for or rationalities for why you shouldn't be together or something like that. So they're like shifting all the time. And this is also not necessarily in a sort of a dating context, because I've noticed this also with my mom. I can see that she is a woman type. She will have this. She will be different, There is still always surprise and lightning and night along with the light. There is the goodness, but there is the lightning and night, As if woman is not capable of friendship, women are still cats and birds, or at the best cows. I said, woman is still not capable of friendship, but tell me, you then, who of you are capable of friendship? Yeah, who are capable of friendship? That's a good question. Because you can have acquaintances who you just speak very superficially with. They are not your friends in a true sense of the word. And there are probably a few people who don't have that capacity at all, probably, who will only ever be acquaintances of you. Well, I mean, Nietzsche asked the question here at least. Few of you are capable of friendship. Oh, your poverty, ye men, and your sordidness of soul. Sordidness. Not sure what it means. Morally ignoble or base, vile. Okay. Really selfish, self-seeking, and mercenary. As much as you give to your friend, will I give even to my foe, and will not have become poorer thereby. So there is again with this sort of respecting your enemy kind of thing. Yeah, I don't understand fully what this means. Moving on, number 15, the 1001 Goals. Many lands saw Zarathustra and many peoples. Thus he discovered the good and bad of many peoples. No greater power did Zarathustra find on earth than good and bad. No people could live without first valuing. If a people will maintain itself, however, it must not value as its neighbors value it. Much that passed for good with one people was regarded with scorn and contempt by another. Thus I found it, much fauna here called bad, which was there decked with purple ornaments. Never did the one neighbor understand the other. Ever did his soul marvel at his neighbor's delusion and wickedness. A table of excellencies hangeth over every people. Lo, it is the table of their triumphs. Lo, it is the voice of their will to power. It is laudable what they think hard. What is indispensable and hard they call good, and what relieveth in the direst distress, the unique and hardest of all, they extol as holy. Wait a minute. Did I forget a quote from here? I need more quotes here. Our quote is about women, actually. I'll move on. I'll probably read one more and then I'll end the stream. I'm getting tired. Okay, it is laudable what I think hard. What is it indispensable and hard they call good? What relieve it in the direst distress, the unique and hardest of all, they extol as holy. Whatever maketh them rule and conquer and shine, to the dismay and envy of their neighbors, they regard as the high and foremost thing, the test and the meaning of all else. Verily, my brother, if thou knewest but a people's need, its land, its sky, and its neighbor, then wouldst thou divine the law of its surmountings, and why it climbeth up that ladder to its hope. Always shalt thou be the foremost and prominent above others. No one shall the jealous soul love, except a friend. That made the soul of a Greek thrill. Thereby went he his way to greatness. To speak truth and be skilful with bow and arrow, so seemed it alike pleasing and hard to the people from whom cometh my name, the name which is alike pleasing and hard to me. To honor father and mother, and from the root of the soul to do their will, this table of surmounting hung another people over them, and became powerful and permanent thereby. To have fidelity, and for the sake of fidelity to risk honor and blood, even in the evil and dangerous courses, teaching itself so, another people mastered itself, and thus mastering itself became pregnant and heavy with great hopes. Verily, men have given unto themselves all their good and bad. Verily, they took it not, they found it not, it came not unto them as a voice from heaven. Values did man only assign to things in order to maintain himself. He created only the significance of things, a human significance. Therefore calleth he himself man, that is, the valuator. Valuing is creating. Hear it, ye creating ones. Valuation itself is the treasure and jewel of the valued things. Through valuation only is there value, and without valuation the nut of existence would be hollow. Hear it, ye creating ones. Change of values, that is, change of the creating ones. Always doth he destroy who had to be creator. Creating ones were first of all peoples, and only in late times individuals. Verily, the individual himself is still the latest creation. Peoples once hung over them tables of the good, love which would rule and love which would obey, created for themselves such tables. Older is the pleasure in the herd than the pleasure in the ego, and as long as the good conscience is for the herd, the bad conscience only saith ego. Verily, the crafty ego, the loveless one, that seeketh in its advantage in the advantage of many, it is not the origin of the herd, but its ruin. Loving ones was it always, and creating ones that created good and bad. Fire of love gloweth in the name of all the virtues, and fire of wrath. Many lands saw Zarathustra and many peoples. No greater power did Zarathustra find on earth than the creations of the loving ones. Good and bad are they called. Verily, a prodigy is this power of praising and blaming. Tell me, ye brethren, who will master it for me? Who will put a feather upon the 1,000 necks of this animal? 1,000 goals have there been hitherto, for 1,000 peoples have there been. Only the feather for the 1,000 necks is still lacking. There is lacking the one goal, as yet humanity hath not a goal. But pray tell me, my brethren, if the goal of humanity be still lacking, is there not also still lacking in humanity itself? Thus spake Zarathustra. I remember especially this one was in the Wilder Rant audio, which you can find on YouTube, which I explained in earlier videos. He said this quote, and it was in a different form, much more sort of accurate in a way. I thought of it then. Okay, so I mean, so what's going on here? The 1001 goals. Here is getting at the importance of valuing, at least. No people could live without first valuing. If a people will maintain itself, however, it must not value as its neighbor valueth. This is also interesting. But why can't it value like its neighbors value it? I don't understand this quote. I can't quote this. Oh. I wasn't even on that one yet. Much is for good with one people was rather with scorn and contempt by another. Thus I found it much fond I here called bad, which was their decked with purple honors. So Nietzsche was a philologist. He read a lot about the ancient civilizations and everything, so he knew. And I also tried to study, like, just from watching documentaries, basically. You have like the Sumerians and the Akkadians, and you have like the Egyptians and the Assyrian Empire and the Persian Empire, and you have like the Medes and the Elamites, and there's so many peoples and groups in Mesopotamia, right? So I just try to think of these, and like why can't they? In some sense, they were similar, so I don't understand why they can't value the same things. If two groups of people value their own existence, then I mean that is not like the thing to value almost if you want to maintain yourself. So I don't understand this. Then wouldst thou divine the land of its surmountings, and where it climbed up the levels of, okay. Value is to man only aside to things in order to maintain himself. He created only the significance of things, a human significance, therefore called himself man, and that is the value to. Yes, this is true. We have a very sort of human, obviously human sort of perspective of things. No, but why wouldn't we? Valuing is creating. Hear it, yea, creating was. Valuation itself is the treasures and jewel of the valued things. Yeah. Valuating and values is very important with Nietzsche. And it's like a fundamental thing of life. And you know, my whole thing is I'm calling myself my quest for meaning, meaning I don't have any meaning which is sort of true in my life. And that kind of means I don't have anything that I value very high. Through valuation only is there value, and without valuation the net of existence would be hollow. Yeah, it's true. Change your values, that is, change your decorating ones. Always don't feel this way, you have to be a creator. Yeah, so this is also, Nietzsche. You also destroy. Nietzsche likes another forms of values, and necessarily for that to happen you have to be a destroyer of the current values. Creating was for the first of all people, and only in the late times individuals. Verily, the individual himself is the latest creation. Yeah, we are a very sort of individually based society. All there is the pleasure in the herd, the pleasure in the ego. And as long as the good conscience is for the herd, the bad conscience only saith ego. So, apparently people in ancient times much more implicitly believed in their groups. And it is very important that this with good and bad conscience. If you realize something but you have bad conscience, then that's a bad thing. The crafty ego, the loveless one, the secret advantage. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this makes sense. Going once was it always, again it was a great good and bad. So, implicitly he's saying that, he's insinuating that good and bad is not like objective, it's not like set in stone. It is loving people that create good and bad. To love something is to value something. To value something is to differentiate something. And that is to say that some things are good and some things are bad. Necessarily. Many lands, says Zarathustra, many peoples, no great concept of them, the creations of the loving ones. Good and bad are they called. So sort of repeats this thing that creating and loving and good and bad are not. So he sees it very important. The only thing is that he wants to change what we see as good and bad. Verily, a perjury is this power of praising and blaming. Tell me, brethren, who will master it for me? 1,000 goals have there been hitherto, for 1,000 peoples have there been. Only the feather on 1,000 necks is still lacking. There is still lacking the one goal, as yet humanity hath not a goal. But pray me, Pray tell me, my brethren, if the God humanity is still lacking insanity, or still lacking humanity itself. Yeah, he's saying that we actually, the reason for the crisis in meaning, well, it probably wasn't as pronounced when Nietzsche wrote, but he sort of sensed it anyway. That we don't really have a great purpose. After religion died, people don't implicitly believe in God anymore. People don't believe Christianity with a good conscience in some sense. So humanity don't have a goal. The state is not a goal. The state is a horrible goal, as we saw in the New Idol. Nietzsche hates the state. He likes tribes, and he likes love, and he likes friendship, and he likes support, and he likes war and warriors and all these things. He don't like rules and regulations and states which suffocates all the individuality and all the excellence. He says, 1,000 goals have there been hitherto, for 1,000 peoples have there been. Only the feather for the 1,000 necks is still lacking. There is still lacking the one goal, as yet humanity hath not a goal. If we can't find a goal, then maybe there is something wrong with us, maybe there is something wrong with humanity itself. So Nietzschean ethics says we have to create the Superman. From the Superman we will get our goal. Well, I mean, Superman is the goal now, but well, how does that work? I thought Superman was the goal, right? Well, okay, so this one. So it sort itself out, you know. Superman is a goal because we don't have a goal. Therefore, we need to improve ourselves. Basically. Okay, so yeah, I guess it's a good one too. So I will stop here, and we'll have tomorrow. I think I will be reading Neighbor Love and The Way, the Creating One, and All the Young Woman, The Bite of the Adder, Child and Marriage. Maybe there. I don't remember too much. I saw a video recently where he was talking about this chapter. Wow, that's a long chapter. So yeah, maybe I think tomorrow I will finish these rest ones, and then I will be finished with the first part, and we will get to the second part after that. So yeah, I actually really like to read Nietzsche here and to speak about it. I don't feel like I'm very good at speaking, but I will continue my quest here. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow. See you in the next one.